I will discussing the title is Measure of Dispersion. The range formula determines the difference between the highest and the lowest values in a given set of numbers. The range formula is mostly used in a statistic to determine the range given a particular data set. So, as you see, the formula to calculate the range is R equals HV minus LV, where the meaning is R stands for the range, S is the highest values, and the L is the lowest values. How to find the range? So, to find the range in a set of a number, you must gather your data, organize the data from lowest to greatest, then subtract the maximum values to find minimum values. You can find a range of positive numbers and negative numbers. Give you an example of range. If you read a biography and write down how many pages you read each day, you will take the range. Monday, Monday you read 12 pages, and next Tuesday 9 pages, Wednesday 11 pages, Thursday 3 pages, and Friday 8 pages. To find the range, put number of page in order from less to greatest. So as you see, the range is like that. The lowest is the 3, the highest is 12. So subtract the smallest values from the greatest values. So 12 minus 3 equals 9. The range of this data set is 9 pages. Use range in real life. Range is used in real life to make math calculations. Range can be used to calculate the amount of time that has passed. Like when calculating your age, the currently year, which is 2021, and the year born 2002. And the question.
Good day. Standard deviation measures the spread of the data about the main value. For the symbol of standard deviation is the Greek letter sigma. Next, to calculate the standard deviation of those numbers, we have 4 steps to get the standard deviation. First, work out the mean, the simple average of the number. Second, for each number, subtract the mean and square the result. Third, work out the mean of those square difference. Fourth, but not the least, take the square root of that. And we are done.
We come now to the variance. When we say the variance, this is the expected value of the squared variation of a random variable from its mean value. In probability and statistics, informally, variance estimates how far a set of numbers, random, are spread out from their mean value. The value of variance is equal to the square of standard deviation, which is another central tool. The variance is symbolically represented by this formula. This is the formula of the variance. This is the definition of the variance. Variance is a measure of how data points differ from the mean. According to layman, a variance is a measure of how far a set data numbers are spread out from their mean average value. Another definition of variance, it means to find the expected difference of deviation from actual value. Therefore, variance depends on the standard deviation of the given dataset. So, the more the value of variance, the data is more scattered from its mean, and if the value of variance is low or minimum, then it is less scattered from mean. Therefore, it is called a measure of spread of data from mean. Put into words, this means that variance is the expectation of the square deviation of a random set of data from its mean value, like this. So, the variance of a random variable has the following properties. Now, let's have a look at the relationship between variance and standard deviation. Variance and standard deviation. Standard deviation is the positive square root of the variance, and this is the symbols that are used correspondingly to represent population and sample standard deviation. So, standard deviation is a measure of how spread out the data is. Its formula is simple. It is the square root of the variance for that dataset. It's represented by the Greek symbol sigma. How to calculate variance? So, variance can be calculated easily by the following steps given below. Example of variance. So, example, find the variance of the numbers 3, 8, 6, 10, 12, 9, 11, 10, 12, and 7. So, step 1, we need to compute the mean of the 10 values given. Then, divide it by 10. So, it will be equal to 88. Then, 88 divided by 10 will be equal to 8.8. Step 2. Make a table with 3 columns, one for the x values, the second for the deviation, and the third is for squared deviations. As the data is not given as sample data, so we use the formula for population variance. So this is the table. Then the last step is to calculate. We need to remember that in statistics, the variance is used to understand how different numbers correlate to each other within a dataset, instead of using more comprehensive mathematical methods such as organizing numbers of the data set into quartiles. The variance also considers all the deviations from the mean are the same despite their direction. However, the square deviations cannot sum to zero and provide the presence of no variability at all in the given dataset. Note, if the data values are identical in a set, then their variance will be zero.
A geometric view of the variance and standard deviation. What is variance? The term of variance refers to statistical measurements of the spread between the numbers in a data set. Variance is often represented by the symbol of sigma raised to 2. Key takeaways. Variance is a measurement of the spread between numbers in the data set. Investors use variance to see how many much risk an investment carries and whatever it will be profitable. Variance is also used to compare the relative performance of each asset in a portfolio to achieve the best asset allocation. Understanding the variance. In statistics, variance measures variability from the average or mean. It is calculated by taking the differences between each number in the data set and the mean, then squaring the differences to make them positive, and finally dividing the sum of the square by the number of values in the data set. Variance is calculated by using the following formula. Variance sigma raised to 2 is equals to I is equals to 1 and open close parenthesis xi is minus x raised to 2 over n minus 1. Variance is an important metric in the investment world. Variability is volatility is a measure of a risk. It helps assess the risk that investors assume when they buy a specific asset, and helps them determine whether the investment will be profitable. But how is this done? Investor can analyze the variance of the returns among assets in a portfolio to achieve the best asset allocation. In financial terms, the variance equation is a formula for comparing the performance of the elements of a portfolio against each other and against the mean. Here are the advantage and disadvantage of a variance. Statistics use variance to see how individual numbers relate to each other within a data set. Rather than using broader mathematical techniques such as arranging numbers into quartiles, the advantage of variance is that it treats all deviations from the mean as the same regardless of their direction. The square deviations cannot sum to zero and give the appearance of no variability at all in the data. Example: you flip a coin 100 times and it lands on the heads 44 times. You then use the same coin and do another 100 flip. This time it lands on the heads 49 times. You repeat this experiment at a total of 10 times and get the following result for the numbers of heads: 44, 49, 52, 62, 53, 48, 54, 49, 46, and 51. Compute the mean and the variance of this data set. This is how to compute the mean and the variance. Step 1. Compute the mean. In this case, we sum the data and divide it by 10 to get x is equals to 50, 8x is equals to 58, 50 and 8. 2. Compute the variance. The formula for the variance is sigma is equals to ni is equals to 1, open close parenthesis, x is equals to x to n. So, we first subtract the mean from each data and then square the result. This is the table on how we compute the mean and the variance. So now we can proceed to standard deviation. What is standard deviation? Since the variance is squared quantity, it cannot be directly compared to the data values or the mean value of a data set. It is therefore more useful to have a quantity which is the square root of the variance. This quantity is known as the standard deviation. In statistics, the standard deviation is a very common measure of the dispersion. The standard deviation measures how spread out the values in the data set around the mean. More precisely, it is a measure of the average distance between the values of the data in the set and the mean. If the data values are all similar, then the standard deviation will be low, close to zero. If the data values are highly variable, then the standard variation is high, further from zero. That's the formula on how to compute the standard deviation. What is the variance and the standard deviations of the possibilities associated with rolling in a fair die? So this is how to compute the standard deviation and the variance. First, step 1. Determine all the possibilities outcomes. When rolling a fair die, the sample space consists of 66 outcomes. The data set is therefore x is equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And step 2, calculate the mean. The mean is x is equals to 16 because 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 is equals to 3 and 5. Step 3. Calculate the variance. The variance is sigma is equals to x minus x. 2n is equals to 16 plus 6 and 25 plus 2 and 25 plus 0 and 25 plus 25 and 2 plus 25 and 6 plus 25 is equals to 297. So step 4, calculate the standard deviation. The standard deviation is sigma is equals to 2,917 square root of 1,708. Measure of dispersion. Excursion exercise. This exercise makes use of the geometric procedure just explained to calculate the variance and standard deviation of the population 2, 5, 7, 11, and 15. This figure shows the given set of the data labeled on a number line along with its mean, which is 8. Average style. Step-by-step solution. Step 1 of 7. Draw the tile associated with each of the 5 data values, which is 2, 5, 7, 11, and 15. Consider the following data. This figure shows the tiles associated with each of the 5 data values, T1 for 2, T2 for 5, T3 for 7, T4 for 11, and T5 for 15. Step 2 of 7. Label each tile with its area. The label diagram showing the area of the tile is as follows. T1 has area of 36 square units. T2 has 9 square units. T3 has 1. T4 has 9 square units. And T5 has 49 square units. Step 3 of 7. Find the sum of the areas of all tiles. On step 2, we find the area of each tile in square units where T1 is 36, T2 is 9, T3 is 1, T4 is 9, and T5 is 49. A total of 104 square units. Step 4 of 7. Find the average mean of the areas of all 5 tiles. To get the average mean, divide the sum of all areas of the tiles and divide it by 5. 104 divided 5 is equals to 20.8 square units. Step 5 of 7. To the right above number line, draw a tile whose area is the average found in step 4. This is the average tile. Step 6 of 7. What is the variance of the data? What geometric figure represents the variance? The variance of the data is the area of the average tile square. Hence, the variance of the data is 20.8. The square tile represents the variance. Step 7 of 7. What is the standard deviation of the data? What geometric figure represents the standard deviation? The standard deviation of the data is the length of the data, which is 20.8. Square root of 20.8 is 4.56. The vertical length or horizontal length of the average square tiles represent the standard deviation, represent the variance. Thank you.